Good morning or good night. I'm drinking a coffee. Welcome to the channel. I'm Mike McGowan. Welcome to Let's Review Some Shit, and today we're going to do 2020's The Babysitter Killer Queen. So let's do it. The long-awaited sequel, Killer Queen, which wasn't really long-awaited because no one was expecting to have one, released 2020 in September. I missed it shortly by a couple days, so I thought I'd do the review now. The movie starts out 2 years later after the accidents and situations of the first one, where the young boy Cole, who is now a freshman in high school, has been taking many medications and many pills because his parents and the rest of the school don't believe him at all. Don't believe the blood call, don't believe anything that happened that night other than a crazy kid decided to run his car into a house. Now this changes the plot completely. Because now there's no babysitter, now there's no home. It's actually him going to Nevada with a bunch of friends, or a friend and a couple of guys that he doesn't really know or seem to care about. And they go on to a boat ride. No one actually describes whose boat it is. They just go on this boat ride and party, I guess. So during the party, they decide to play a couple games, and then someone brings up the blood cult, and you find out that his best friend knew a lot more information than she knew. This is where everything gets pretty messy because all of a sudden the original cast from the first one appear, which are supposed to be dead because in the first one none of them make it out alive other than Cole himself. So this is where it really takes the turn and you get a bit more of the plot. Okay, that's enough with the plot, so I'll stop with the plot. If you've seen it, then you know how it goes. If you haven't seen it, then I haven't really touched anything that you wouldn't catch pretty close. I'm going to get right into how I felt about the movie, the positives, the negatives. I'm going to start off with the negatives because if you've seen my last video, you knew I loved that one. I loved the original, The Babysitter. This one ruins a couple things for me. The big one would be that every character seems to be goofy now. Like, there's not a single regular person other than Cole. And then Cole's a little bit deranged because of everything that's happened. So it really takes away from the characters. They all show back up on the boat. And cool, they're all back. But the problem is, earlier, you meet a couple adults. Because, like, these are all kids. And all you meet adults, and they're supposed to be somewhat normal. And they're completely strange. A cop shows up. He's just deranged and odd. And it's just like, it takes away so much from all the other characters that are supposed to be odd because they're part of a blood cult and they're part of this crazy thing going on. And it's just like, oh no, but the average cop is also a weirdo. So it took away from the movie quite a bit for me. Saying that, there was something that I really did like that we didn't get in the first one, and they go over every single characters from the first ones, why they joined the blood cult and what they were doing when she showed up originally to ask them if they wanted to join. So I really enjoyed that. It gave a little bit more background of why they did it and like where they came from, and also how old they actually are. If you didn't think about that, I didn't think about that. This movie was clearly trying to one-up the first one, especially with like how Cole kills certain characters. Some of them were too easy and too fast. Like, it's just like, some characters were in the movie and out of the movie just like that. And it's like, okay, well, I wanted more of the characters and more like individuality with it. Not just like, oh, well, that's a crazy way he did it, or that's a crazy way he did it. And it's just like, I get it. A lot of movies like to do the one-up from their first. And it's like, oh yeah, like, if they died like that, we can make it 3 times crazier in this one. But it really just, it didn't work for me. To me, it was just too much of a cry out, and it didn't really work. In the end of the movie, this whole movie is really about a young kid, teenager, whatever you want to call him, becoming a man, kind of stepping himself up, not being part of who he thought he was and is being who he wants to be now. So there's some heartwarming parts, especially around the end, but yet again, a lot of it takes away from the first one, and it kind of, well, why did the first one happen then, if this is how this one's going to happen? And then the fact that they all come back, there's a quick reasoning. It's like, oh, the devil gives us every 2 years, we can come back and murder you if you're still a virgin. And I was like, well, pretty freeing of the devil, I guess, but okay. And at the end of the day, it was an okay movie. You know, like there was some subplot problems, and there was some over-the-top things that in the first one really worked, and this one it went too far, or the timing was just off. Yeah, I didn't like it as much as the first one. I'm gonna give this movie a 2.8 out of 5 stars because there's just a lot of things that were missing for me, and it's just the plot and everything about it wasn't quite there. I still liked the movie as a real big time waster, but I was excited for this movie because the original one was really good, and to me I found like they really just pushed everything out as much as they can, and some writers were just like, yeah, we'll just make it up, we'll just go with it. It was a goofy movie, and I get that. Like a lot of goofy movies, it's just like, just throw another one out and it'll work or it won't. To me, this one didn't work. If you liked this video and you liked my review, please subscribe to my channel. Let's review some shit. Drop some comments on the bottom if you didn't agree with me or you did agree with me. Or maybe there's something that I missed, so definitely throw that in. Give a quick like to the video if you enjoyed it, and have a good one.